On today's episode, I have got the lovely gentleman, a Yorkshireman, an actor, my fellow co-star from a film from a while ago, and artiste, Steve Huison. Welcome, Steve.
Morning. How do you do?
Thank you so much for doing this. Right, Steve, we're gonna crack straight on. Tell us what little Steve looked like. What were you like as a kid?
Small, skinny, ginger. Just a shorter version. See, what are you laughing at that for? Is it the ginger bit or the skinny?
I wasn't quite expecting that, but why would I not expect that?
Small, skinny, ginger, pallid, dressed in homemade clothes.
Ah,
My mum used to make my clothes.
did she?
Yeah. Well, she was a seamstress, so
Oh, well, there you are then.
Yeah, she made my clothes. But that skill has gone, hasn't it? People don't make their own clothes anymore. They should do, I think.
Darning a sock or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, it's a skill. Is darning. Yeah, my
Can you
wife, my
darn?
wife still, no, my wife still darns socks. It's fascinating to watch, and she darns holes in jumpers and things. Yeah, we don't throw anything away.
Absolutely not.
No.
Tell us what your earliest memory was, apart from darning socks.
Uh, Earliest memories. I think from what I recall, because it's so vague, but my earliest memories are my mum. Before I went to school, my grandma used to look after us.
All
So
right.
I recall the walks up to my grandma's, which was just on the other side of the estate, but she lived on the eighth floor of a block of flats, and
Oh gosh.
I just recall being at my grandma's a lot.
Have you ever been there since you were that age of doing that?
Been what to my grandma's? She
As
died
in,
years ago.
no, I mean, have you ever done that length of walk? Like, have you revisited that place? Because
Oh
when
yes,
you're little, everything
yeah,
seems massive, and then
yeah,
when you go as an adult, and you're like, oh, it's
yeah,
really small.
yeah. Well, I couldn't reach the buttons in the lift back then,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. No, I've been back many times. The block of flats is still there, actually. Yeah,
All right.
on you can see it from the Leeds Playhouse. It's just on the other side of the York Road on Lincoln Green Estate, where I grew up in Leeds.
Ah.
Not far from the BBC studios there.
Are you still in touch with your oldest friend? Like, who was your first ever friend?
But from what I recall of that, I don't recall friends before school, though I knew the next door neighbours.
Yeah.
But school, I think I bonded my first friendship there with a lad called Andrew Healy in my infant school.
Yeah.
And it, I think I've still got him connected on Facebook. The last time I saw we've got nothing in common, obviously. Now we don't. No, I think I don't know even if we went to middle school together. I think we probably did, but
Yeah.
you know, you drift apart, don't you? Very
Isn't
early
it
on.
isn't it weird when you talk about someone at school, you always use the first and the last name. It doesn't matter if it's
Yeah,
when you're at school 5 years from leaving, 50 years from
yeah,
it's just you always, and the
yeah,
teachers as well, it's always the full title.
yeah. Mrs. Brown, yes, yeah. She was our first teacher. Yeah.
Sitting here today, what would you tell your younger self at school?
Um, don't worry about being ginger. It will be the key to your success.
Hey.
Um, uh, Stand up to the bullies, I suppose. I
Yeah.
got bullied because I had red hair. You know, you stand out, don't you? I say bullied. I mean, yeah, they picked on me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Stand up to them more.
take the bullies on. I do
Yeah,
these days, and yeah, they crumble very easily. The bullies.
they do. They do.
They just take different forms as they get older, but they're still out there. Yeah, or if I see it in other instances, if I see somebody bullying somebody else,
Hmm.
I'll tend to step in, say something.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable. Yeah.
And no, and it's horrible to be witness to something like that.
Yeah. Be kind to each other. You
Yeah.
know, I know it sounds a bit glib that, but if you put out positivity, then you get positivity back. If you put out negativity, then it comes back at you in tons, you know.
It really does, doesn't it? We've had a description of what your very young self looked like. It can be physical or uh, more emotional. What did teenage Steve look like?
Um, tall, skinny, ginger, pallid,
What is pallid?
pale.
Oh,
I was almost translucent.
oh no, that's a
I
shame.
remember going through puberty and looking at myself bare chested in the mirror, and it looked like I had a road map of England on my chest. You could see all, but you probably still can. You know, I was a pallid thing because I can't go out in the sun. You know, I just burn up. So yeah, and spotty. I was extremely spotty. I had terrible acne for
Oh, did
a
you?
good decade. Yeah, yeah, it was
And did that
awful.
bother you as a teen?
Oh yeah, yeah, of
Yeah.
course it did. Because yeah, you just know it's not very attractive, is it? You know, and it's quite painful. You know,
Oh,
having a big spot on the end of your nose.
on the end of your schnoz.
Oh, it was awful, awful. But you know, you grow out of those things. But yeah, they leave their scars.
So people know you for acting. Did you set out on the path as the spotted teenager with the intention to the career that you have today?
No, no, I didn't have any intentions other than I didn't want to work. no, no, I don't mean it in that sense. I wasn't lazy as such.
Were you more
I've all,
vocational? You needed something creative?
well, no, yeah, I suppose I did, though I couldn't put it into those terms back then.
Mm,
Um, I just enjoyed playing. I didn't want to grow out of playing.
yeah.
So, you know, yeah, and you look at the playing now, and it's creative. What I do, I spend my days creatively. I'm sitting here in my little studio where, you know, I will paint all day in here, and it's for me that is playing, and
Yeah.
and I'm fortunate enough to be able to make a living, just a living out of it. But you know, it's it's. I went to Leeds College of Art, and I was very cocky. I did a foundation course there, and I was
Uh-huh.
very cocky. And they didn't accept me the first year I went because in the interview they asked me, "Why do you want to do this course?" And I said, "I I would just like a nice, relaxing job in art." And you know, as a 17-year-old or whatever I was, it was quite a
Yeah.
arrogant thing to say. But
But was it,
no,
or did you just know what you really wanted that would make your soul happy?
well, yeah, I suppose I did. I just didn't have the flowery terms to put it in. But
The
you know,
gravitas behind it.
yeah, I couldn't come up with some silly speak that artists had
Yeah.
expected. I wanted to do what I enjoy doing, basically, which is a great privilege. Most people don't get to spend their lives doing what they want to do.
No.
You know, I was always interested in music, playing music, drawing and painting, and messing about with different characters and dressing up and making people laugh, actually. And I just carried on. I don't differentiate those things. I see them all as that is what I do. I class myself as an artist, and I don't just mean somebody with a paintbrush, though that's part
No.
of it. You know, everything I do just it all merges together. The acting, the music, the painting, the drawing, teaching it. It all for me. It feels like it all uses the same part of the brain.
Just in you, or were you surrounded by this? Was your family creative?
My dad was quite eccentric, and he'd make strange things like um, he was very good with plaster.
Okay.
He was a plasterer, but he'd play with plaster as well, and
Okay.
he'd do things like make a plaster cast on my arm so that I could go into school and pretend I had a broken
No
arm.
way.
Yeah, it was quite eccentric in that way. But there were no artists as such in my family.
Right.
But I was always encouraged. You know, they bought me drawing materials. They paid for my piano classes. Um, I was encouraged. I was never
Yeah.
discouraged to do it. So, and then I had brilliant teachers at school. all the way through school that encouraged me. Great music, great drama, great art teachers, and I owe a lot of it to them. Really, the worst thing a teacher can do is say, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah, awful. Yeah. Why would you want to do that? Oh, you'll never do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah. And I think depending on the person that you are, makes you either go, "Oh God, I can't do that. I'm not doing that," or it makes you go,
yeah. Or it can just deflate somebody's ambition instantly, especially a child. If you say you can't draw, then you can guarantee they will never draw again.
What, maybe not necessarily work-wise, but what in your life has been your biggest hurdle?
People, other people getting in the way of things. Not people that block creativity, I suppose. People that will say, no, you can't. And people within a working process, within any music, painting, performance, whatever, if you're working with other people and you say, I've got this idea, let's try it out. And if they say, no, that sounds rubbish, we're not doing that, then dead.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on the floor, put it on the canvas, pick up the guitar and try it and see first, So, that was an important lesson, I think, for me.
You kind of really answered my next question, really, but is there anything that you would change or do differently in your life? But that kind of...
No, I don't know. I don't know what I would change in my life. I'm quite happy with it. I'm not saying I've not got an ideal life, because every day we all have our problems every day that faces that you don't expect. Work-wise, there's nothing that I would have changed. Now, I suppose some people would think that I've made some bad decisions career-wise along the way, which I possibly have, but I'm still here doing it. I'm 60 years old and I'm still having a nice, relaxing job in art. So,
I mean, that's mega, isn't it?
I count my blessings every day. Yeah.
What has been your biggest sadness, or what makes you cry?
Well, it is quite personal. I can't go into too many details because it's about other people. But family illnesses, mental illnesses within the family.
Yeah, it's
hard. Those of you who know me will know the details, but it's not fair to go into.
No, that's
who and what. But it's so debilitating. Not just for the person that's ill with it, but everybody else around.
It's a ripple, isn't it?
It just stifles. It's stifling. I had a friend years ago who, unfortunately, she passed away 4 years ago. She was my teacher at college, but we remained very close friends. And she said to me, only about 5 years ago, I suppose it was, I went for an audition and I was just terrible in it. I fell apart in this audition. And anyway, I came home and I rang her up and, we analysed it. And she said to me, and this is having known me for 35 years or so, she said, you do realise you're not cut out to be an actor, don't you? Hold on a minute.
No, stop.
She says, no, I'm not saying that you can't act, that you're not any good at what you do, but that you're not cut out for the industry because actors intrinsically are quite selfish. They're quite self-driven, and some would say they have to be. They're very ambitious in that they've got to they've got to reach that perfect standard, and the only way to get through it, I want to work with them over there, and I'm going to have to do this to do it, and everything else can just shift out of the way. And I've worked with many actors like that, and I've known for a long time that I'm not ambitious. In some ways, I fell into this, and I've always, as I say, I count my blessings. It's not as if I've got to be on screen, or I've got to make it to the National Theatre. Or, you know what I mean? It doesn't interest me. If that comes along, I think, oh right, oh that is interesting, but the drive to it doesn't interest me. But also because of the illnesses in my family, you have to be attentive to those things.
You do, yeah.
And you can't do both. You can't put your time into maintaining and holding something which, an acting job comes and goes. Your family is here to stay, and you've got to, it's important to hold that, make sure that it's healthy, because
1,000,000%, yeah.
that's what supports you through the rest of your life. She pointed out to me in this phone call, look, you've made a decision by putting your efforts into this side of your life, and so you can't throw yourself 100% into your career. And bing, 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 all the pennies started dropping at that point. I thought, of course, she's telling me this at 55 years old. I thought, she was so astute, that woman, Jean Hart, she was called. She was so astute. She kept me on a very even keel throughout most of my career.
Oh,
yeah.
We all need someone like that in our lives, I think.
Oh God, yeah, but they're once in a lifetime if you're lucky enough to find them.
They really are, yeah.
I don't know anybody else like that, and she's gone now.
Yeah. Just going into just the final question of today's episode is, I feel like I maybe know this from our chat, but it's I wouldn't want to surmise. Is what makes you the most happy? What makes your heart sing? What is it that sets your soul on fire and is just joyous?
That's easy. That's making children laugh.
Ah. Well, you do that plentiful.
Yeah, I don't do it enough, but I like to hear children laughing.
Yeah,
I like, and
that
I like
proper belly laugh.
Yeah, and also by doing it, for me, it reconnects me as a child.
Yeah,
because you shouldn't put those things aside. I don't think when you grow up. It's quite special to be able to relate to children and make them laugh, to find their level of humour and get down to it or up to it, but reach their level of humour and connect. That makes me happy, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and it's
My
a joy
pleasure.
to know you, and you make me smile.
Thank you. And I get a lot off of your positivity just by doing this kind of thing. And I follow you on all the social media, and you never stop, do you? You need to take more holidays, but yeah.
Oh, I wish.
Okay.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yay. Thank you.